Hey everyone, this is Paul, and you are listening to episode 19 of the Generation Latino podcast. I want to thank you so much for tuning in. Today is Memorial Day, and before I even get started, I want to say thank you to all the men and women out there who have served in our armed forces. I still believe, regardless of our political climate, that we live in the best country in the world. We're divided right now. There's a lot going on, but I still believe that this is a land of opportunity. And it is because of this country and because of our armed forces fighting for us that this queer Mexican kid is able to live his dreams. So thank you to those who have served. But I have a question. What lessons have you learned from heartbreak? When you've gone through a heartbreak and a breakup, what have you learned? What are the takeaways that you have? And I say this because in today's episode, I have a very special guest. Her name is ReShaun Webb. ReShaun is a friend. She's a mentor. She's a business owner. She's an author. She is a trainer. She holds a master's degree in early childhood education. She's a smart woman. But in today's episode, all of those things that I named about with ReShaun, she does them all great. But what happens when heartbreak and breakup interrupts your life? How do you handle that? How do you continue moving forward and be the best version of yourself when your heart is aching, when you don't want to get up, when you don't want to exist anymore, when you want to erase your memory? So in today's episode, ReShaun and I talk deep about that. And I'm excited because I think it's such a great conversation to have. ReShaun is such a special person. I really hope you enjoy this episode. I really hope that you can take something from it because I was getting some aha moments as I was listening to her talk. So here you have it, episode 19, Lessons from Heartbreak. Hope you enjoy. ReShaun, I first off want to thank you for being on the Generation Latino podcast. It means so much to me. In case anyone doesn't know, ReShaun is a business owner, holds a master's degree in early childhood education, and she is also a wonderful mentor. She has mentored me in my career and in my life. So, ReShaun, thank you.
Oh, thank you. I enjoy our talk, so this will be fun.
Yes, I do too. So, ReShaun, who is ReShaun?
Who is ReShaun? Oh man, ReShaun is a cheerleader. ReShaun is a peacemaker, child of God, first and foremost. She's a daughter, she's a granddaughter. She's Mama Shaun to many, an educator and an advocate.
So, ReShaun, what inspires you? Because I have known you, I want to say almost 8 years. And any
Mhm.
time that I've met you in any point in your life, whether it's in love, heartbreak, owning a business, being a director, you always have this positive outlook on life. But what inspires you to continue to have that positive outlook in life?
Well, first of all, Paul, thank you for having me. I appreciate you. There's already enough negativity and ugliness in this world. Why add more to it? I've had to deal with confrontation. I had to learn growing up how to handle conflict. And so, but I also know the backside or the ugly side of me that once I go there, it takes a while to bring me back because I was pushed there. So to circumvent all of those things, I would rather stay on the bright side of things and compel others to be on the bright side because it takes more work to be negative and ugly because you're getting out of your comfort, of who you are as a person and you're allowing someone to put you in this ugly space. Mind you, I said allowing because you can control yourself and pull yourself back, but I just prefer to stay positive. I can turn on the news and see all the ugly and negative in this world. Having those children and having my babies smile at me and my staff smile at me, my mom and my church family, that keeps me going. My friends, that keeps me going. And it's just like, why would I allow? And I could because God knows you walk out the door and you're going to meet negativity and ugliness. So don't take much, but I would just rather spend my time smiling and making people laugh.
Do you think that positivity is contagious?
Well, let's look at it this way. If the flu was going around and I knew it was making its way, I'm going to do all the things I need to do to preserve and protect my body. So I'm going to bear flu, whatever I need to do so I don't get it before it gets me. So I don't think positivity is contagious. So people might think differently because you can be around somebody who is just ugly on the inside and the outside. And if that's where they want to stay, that's where they'll stay. I could be as positive as I want to be. But if they would rather stay negative and stay ugly and dingy and dark, no amount of smiles or giggles will turn them a different way.
I agree. What spreads faster, positivity or negativity?
Negativity.
I would have to agree with you. As long as I've known you, you've always been a leader. You've been in a leadership role. You have always been a leader to me. When did you realize that you were a leader? You own your own business. You are a director. You are a mentor, a mother to so many of your kiddos, and that takes leadership. When did you realize that you were someone who could be a vessel for so many other people? Because that's truly what you are.
I don't ever use the word leadership and leader when it comes to me because I am a forever student. So there because people and I do that because even in the church realm, I do that because people will be so quick to take a title, run with it, and you can't tell them otherwise. And so when someone comes that's genuinely and authentic with their title, it's been distorted, misused, misinterpreted, manipulated that the right person coming can't even enjoy it because it's been misused so much. So there's certain aspects of me that I don't like to use about myself because everybody thinks that they're a leader. So to me, I'm just like, I'm a forever student. Like if someone points me out and say, oh, I'm not going to be like, oh, no, no, don't call me that. I'm not going to be like that, but I'm just going to be like, oh, hey, I'm just Sean or I'm just Mama Shaun. And I say that with a lot of things because so many things that are a God-given talent has been misused and distorted that a real person standing up, taking ownership, they get lost in the shuffle behind the fake people. So I don't really think of myself as a leader. I just say I'm a veteran. I'm experienced and I know what I know. I just kind of take it like that, but I don't ever really consider myself a leader.
Whether you say you're a leader or not, how do you handle the titles that you have then? Because you can say you're not a leader, and I respect that completely, but you are someone who has a title, right? In that you do have staff.
When I'm doing tours or if a parent calls, I don't expect someone to recognize authority by phone, right? Because it's kind of a challenge to do so. But when I start talking to them about the program, I'm like, oh, so who are you? Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name. I said, oh, I'm ReShaun, I'm the owner. Oh my God, really? Right? They're so glad to get the person that can make decisions. They're glad to get the person that has like, oh, she can call, things down from heaven or, she can make these things happen, right? And so I just say, I'm the owner, I'm ReShaun, but the kids call me Mama Shaun. So that's my second line is, I'm ReShaun, but the kids call me Mama Shaun. And their parents call me Mama Shaun too. Like I don't my thing is whatever you call me, just don't call me on my name. Because I know who I am. I have the letters behind my name for sure. But when all those letters go away, at the end of the day, I'm ReShaun.
What keeps you so grounded to the floor? I genuinely mean that because even in that question, there was this humility that came out of you as I was boasting about you. What keeps you grounded, honestly?
What keeps me grounded? Number one, I recognize the Bible says that every good and perfect gift comes from above. So I'm aware. When I started working in early childhood at 16, it was definitely my prayer and my desire. But everything I've learned from then till now came because God said it could. And he allowed me to meet and greet. And, I remember being a first year or second year college student at St. Philip's College, working at their child development center, which wasn't for everybody, by the way. And I remember them saying, oh, the district office president is coming over to the child care center, child development center, and we want you to lead the conversation. I'm like, you what? Mind you, I'm still a year or two from high school. I had just left high school. And like, yeah, we want you to talk with them. And I'm like, I don't know nothing. Like, what are you talking about? So my mom that night when I told her about it, she's like, "ReShaun, you know more than you think." And she's always told me that you know more than you think. Think about what you want to say. So that next day they were like, "You ready?" And I'm like, "I don't know what I'm going to say." And so they said, "Well, just look around the room. What are some things you've done? What are some things we've done? What do you see? Talk about what's in this room." So I started looking around the room, and next thing I know, the president came in and I was up to bat. And I said everything I had to say. They're like, "Wow, you know a lot." I said, "Well, in my short time, I've done a lot." So what keeps me grounded is the fact that God gives me opportunities to do the things that some people would not have otherwise been able to do. I don't take advantage of it. I'm always sure to be grateful and thankful. And I had to do a training session today for the Child Care Association of Louisiana, and we talked about generational age gaps in the workforce. Typewriters versus TikTok was the name of the training. And I mentioned several times, I said, I am standing on the backs and the shoulders of those before me. I dare not negate their hustle, their hard work, because they paved the way so I can be here. So yeah, I will sit at a baby boomer's feet. I will take notes. I will listen because they could show me the way because they planted the seed. The group before them carved out the path. So God keeps me grounded, and as easy as he gave it to me, as quick and sure as he can take it away, and I recognize that.
I wish more people can say that because I think people get lost in a lot of the fluff, a lot of the titles, a lot of the
Yeah.
money, a lot of all the perception-based things. I know how close you are to your faith. I know how close you are to Christ, and I respect that so much because you are toes deep in that, and you can see it. You bleed that, and it's so nice to see. So I know that your passion outside of church is early childhood education. Am I wrong or right on that?
You are right about it.
Okay. When did you realize that that was your passion, your calling? What was the moment when you said, wow, this is what I want to be doing for the rest of my life?
I have wanted to work with children since I was in middle school. So we would go around to the campuses, different universities, and talk about the teaching program and all that. But then something happened, and I was just like, I fell in love with early childhood. And even though in certain circles, yes, teaching kinder, first grade, second, third is early childhood, which is birth to 8. But I fell in love with babies. And I was that young lady at church who the pastor, she would call on me or allow me to go and tend to the babies while the mothers or the parents came to church so they can listen and pay attention. I was middle school or high school. None of the other young people got to do it. And we had plenty. I was chosen and I loved every minute of it. But I was the baby whisperer. I knew how to put a baby to sleep. I knew how to calm a baby down. And at 15 and 14 years old. So as I got further, I was like, man, I want to go to Incarnate Word. I saw their program and with Connie Siblo Risley, who was amazing. And she was the one that was just spearheading that cohort that we had. And I loved it. And I was like, I want to go to Incarnate Word. And so I went to Incarnate Word and learned a lot and loved it. And I love this industry. You know, this profession, I tell people all the time, it has tentacles. I started out as a high school student working and going to school in the morning in the child care job program that they had. And I was just like, look, I want to be a director, a owner of my own center. I was going to get my CDA, be a director, that have a husband and a baby. That is all. I've surpassed that and then some. No husband, but plenty of babies with no baby stretch marks. I was at St. Philip's I was doing my associate degree, health, safety, and nutrition class.
Mhm.
I still have all those books, by the way. I was like bit by the bug, and I'm like, that's what I was like, I need to get my bachelor's. And then I wanted to teach college level. And so many years later, I got my master's. So I plan to die in this profession. I love the kids. I love stretching my professional skills. I love learning. I'm still learning. Whether I get a PhD in this or not, I will always be a student because there's always something to learn.
When did you realize, because you can stop at the CDA, when did you realize I need to go further and get the bachelor's, get the master's? Was it when you were working in it, feet to the ground?
Mhm.
When did you say, I need to keep going? When did you realize that?
I realized that when I was taking this health and safety nutrition class, and it wasn't even behind the kids. And it had nothing to do with the kids. I loved learning. I had so many aha moments, and I loved learning the science behind why a child does what they do. Love. I mean, I was just so amazed and enthralled with it. And that's when I knew, okay, I need to push past this. And I promise you, as soon as that happened, something major came up that derailed me for about, I'd say it probably derailed me for about 4 or 5 years. And I just stopped school altogether. But I missed learning. I missed learning about the profession. I would say probably 2004, maybe 2005, which was 20 years ago. That's when I was like, man, I need to know more. And I got bit by that bug. And this is the thing about success, whatever, quote unquote. Once you get to a certain level, that thing that you were dying to get because you needed it to get to the next level, there's going to be an even greater level that you're going to need to pass. That one is going to look so minuscule and small. I got further. I realized this piece of paper outweighs this piece of paper, but this piece of paper is how I'm able to get this piece of paper.
What is the biggest door education has opened for you, ReShaun?
So the biggest door to date was, I don't know if I even told you this, but I have a friend who works for a university in Denton, and her and we always get together at conferences and talk and all the things. And I asked her one day, my mom and I were having a conversation, and she was like, hey, do you want to come guest lecture for my class one day? And I was like, girl, I was literally, I asked her rather if I could. And she was like, yeah, say less. We can put you down for the spring. And I was like, no way. She's like, yeah, we'll keep in touch and all that. I guest lectured for her about a month and a half ago. I finally, and this is going to sound, it's going to sound like, ugh. I finally used my master's degree. I have not been able to use my master's degree since I got it in 2018. It's so amazing. Like I love teaching adults. That's what my master's degree is, in early childhood and adult education. So I have a master's basically to be an amazing trainer. I love what I do. When you are a teacher at heart, my mom is one as well. And it's just like, I can talk childcare for hours. I can talk on every kind of level. We're in legislation right now. It's getting ready to end, thank God.
Mhm.
We can talk about these things for hours because it's in my blood. It's in my system. The kids know it. Their parents know it. People that know me know it. Well, it's so good to use my master's degree. And I don't need it to train. I don't need it to open a program. I don't need it. That just says she's just extra book smart in this profession. I do plan to do more. I am going to do another lecture with her for her fall class. So we'll see what happens.
Who inspires you not only in business and your profession, but in life?
The age-old answer, my mom. It's her. She raised my brother and I, and she has a story all on her own. And she raised my brother and I by herself, working a grueling job, working for State Farm, putting church first, meeting all of our needs, giving us a childhood that centered around the Lord and centered around our lives and doing things that make kids kids. She always told us, you go for what you want. You know what it is. You look up what it takes. And I hate research. Look up what it takes to be a director. Look up what it takes to be a professor. And I'm like, just tell me. And she's like, no, you do it. And so that created hustle. So it was my mom, and she encourages transparency and honesty. And she encourages us to work for what you want. So even now when I say, oh, mom, she's like, there's so many doors you can walk through. So now what are you going to do? What you going to do now? And she's watched the progression. She's watched the trials. She's watched the falls. She's watched the triumphs, and she's been right there. So I would say my mom is the one who inspired me. And then on the flip side, I know you didn't ask this question, but on the flip side, the person who least inspired me yet can't take credit is my father. The first man that is supposed to protect and love and secure you has nothing to do with my success. I respect him. We are building a relationship and all those things, but he's quick to say, I have nothing to do with that. Nothing to do with that. And that's another topic, but that lets me know the kind of man that I want and the kind of father I want my husband to be.
I love that, honestly. Now that we're on this topic, what is the biggest life lesson you learned from failure?
The big thing I learned from failure is the lesson itself, right? Why did I fail? People don't ever give credit to the failure. They don't ever give credit to the thing, and I don't mean like kudos, but they don't ever look at the failure itself. Like, what exactly happened to make me fall or make me fail? Let me dive into that. Let me look at exactly what that means. Let me look at exactly what that looks like because apparently I did something wrong. So then there's times when I have to say I'm guilty. I'm the person. Then there's times when I have to say I allowed someone else to come in and disrupt my peace, disrupt my purpose. Like the ants, and then the raindrop falls, and then all of a sudden the ant don't realize, go around the raindrop, dummy, right? They don't realize to go around it, right? It's when wet raindrop falls, oh my God, my world is over. No, no. Let's either look through the raindrop or look around the raindrop because there's always something over and on the other side of it. And people don't look at the failure as a lesson. They look at it as, oh my God, I failed and I can't believe I did it again. And da, da, da. Well, no, honey, let's look at why you failed. Let's look at what happened that made you think this route was okay for you. It's not okay for you because you failed. So let's pick ourselves up. Let's look around the raindrop, maybe extend our neck and look above the raindrop to see, oh, there's something else on the other side. Okay, well, let me put my legs back together. Let me dust myself off and maybe walk slowly this time to the left or the right to get around the raindrop so I can keep going on my path. Otherwise, someone else is going to trample over that path and you ain't going to see it anymore. It's going to be gone. Now you got to find something else. You got to find a new path. Failure, people say failure is not an option. Failure is an option, right? I can choose to be or not to be. And in the process of that, thank you for showing me that I need to do better, or thank you for showing me that I need to grow stronger. I'm not as strong as I thought. Thank you for that. They forget to not thank, but give credit to. I had to fall to show that I'm not perfect. I had to fall because I thought too high of myself. I had to fall because everything's been handed to me. I didn't do no work. So now I need to put some work in so that way I can create the path I'm supposed to be on.
Well, it seems like you don't have a problem putting a magnifying glass on the failure, which a lot of people have a problem doing. What you just explained to me right now was I may have to put light and a magnifying glass on this failure right now and discover some things that may not be proud of or maybe may disappoint me. That's what people are afraid to do.
They're gonna find some things that, like, oh my God, my breath stinks. Yeah, boo. You ate onions. Yes, your breath stinks. But guess what? Get a Tic Tac and let's keep moving.
I'm going to use that analogy.
A lot of people, forget to do that. And because I had to do that with my relationship. And it's just like, okay, ReShaun, he ain't all guilty. Let's look at what you did. Let's look at what you did not do that you should have done. You should have fought for yourself, stood up for yourself. You should have been like, okay, you want to pout like a little baby? Let me give you a bib and a bottle and a passy, and you stay right there until you can come play with the rest of the friends. I didn't. And a lot of people don't out of intimidation or fear. Oh, you have a voice, right? I remember it was a Saturday. I was at Walmart at Nacogdoches in 1604, and I was getting ready to go inside. I was on the phone with my mom, but she was somewhere in the city. I was in another part of the city. We were laughing, and she's like, I'm glad I am hearing you laugh again. I've missed hearing you laugh. And I said, well, I lost her for a while, but she's coming back slowly, right? And so I had to look at why. I had to admit the guilt. I had to admit that I probably should have walked away sooner. Not that it was wrong or bad or indifferent, but you're not going to change me to fit you because then I change myself. And that's not God's plan for me. He's the only one that's supposed to change me, not you. So there was just a lot. And once I learned them and took ownership, I didn't wallow in the guilt of oh my God. No, I felt it. I was ashamed. I was hurt. I was betrayed. I hated myself because I allowed myself to do it. Girl, if you don't get up off this floor and wipe your tears, I've given you 3 months to cry. Get up off the floor.
Can I ask you something that I've never asked you before? How did he never ever, and I give you so much credit for this, it never affected your work, ReShaun? Never affected your work, ever.
You're absolutely right. And I'm gonna tack on another story to that after this. The day we broke up, it was Labor Day weekend. And I came home and I remember crying and my mom pat me on she was patting me and rubbing me down like she was the mafia boss. Like everything's gonna be all right. It's gonna be all you don't worry about it. And I'm just like, oh no. And and in my book, I write something like I wanted my mother to excuse me from work the next day. Like I wanted her to give me permission to stay home. She didn't. And she says, you need to go. You need to be busy. And I'm like, are you kidding me right now? There is blood all over the place. Like, and I think I made that analogy in my book. I said, can't you see my heart can't you see my heart on the bed? There's blood everywhere. Like, I need a blood transfusion and a new heart, but I'm still alive. How does that, like, what? Like, this is bad. I remember going to work that next day. I cried off and on. I don't know how many people called, text, checking. I cried off and on all day. But the thing that really like, oof, was I have my kids. And these kids are in my life to this day. And there are two of them that are still in my life, but two of them came to me at nap time and I'm crying and I'm crying and the song is making me cry. There's still songs I cannot listen to, like Taylor Swift's Don't You Ever Grow Up. I cannot listen to that song. So I'm crying and they come up to me and start patting me on the head and on my back. These are 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds. And to this day, I am still in their lives. I bonded with those kids, and those kids are in my book. I bonded with those kids on a level that I didn't even think was possible. And I will say, other than being before God and being at the altar crying and all that, but he used those kids to help save my life. Those kids had no idea too. My staff didn't even know what was going on. So they were always Mama Shaun, and hugging me and cheering me and rooting for me every day. Every day. They saw my car. They were at the window. Mama Shaun's here. I would hear these little legs and on the floor going to the door, waiting for me to open the door, and they're right there like little birds, waiting for mommy bird to give them some worms. And I kid you not, and there are witnesses every single day. Or they would, Mama Shaun, every single day. And I didn't take, and a whole new group of kids, however many years later, they do the exact same thing to this day. They don't even, that is from 8 years ago till now. Same thing, different group of kids. But what also was happening is I was also dealing with, when we're talking about women and business, I was also dealing with fibroids. And I did all the things I'm supposed to do. I had 25. And for those that don't know, fibroids are tumors. The pain level was off the charts every month. Fighting back nausea, throwing up, trying not to throw up on the side of the road, still going to work, even through the midst of that, laying on the floor in a fetal position, running my program from the fetal position on the floor every month. The only time I couldn't is when it's like, I just threw up at 4 a.m. I am not coming in today. And I maybe did that maybe 2 or 3 times. Vertigo. I've had vertigo. I'm throwing up in the classroom, but I'm still at work until they're like, ReShaun, go home. You are too dizzy. You should not be driving. This is not safe. So, but I knew I had a responsibility. That I had a responsibility, not just to the staff or the parents, but to my kids. Even now, are you going to be, I'll be here tomorrow. I'm not going nowhere tomorrow. Okay. Right. So when you make that impact on people's lives, all those things I've told you was happening all at the same time, all around the same time. I still showed up, and it was the grace of God. I still showed up because I still don't know how I did it.
Where does that grit, the tenacity, the willpower, would you say it was all God? Was it both?
As a human, we don't have the strength to handle all the drama and the crap that comes with living every day. We don't. We're not designed to handle that. God didn't give us the strength of all these mighty angels to handle all the stuff that happens every day. He didn't design us that way. And especially as a female, that's why men are so important, right? I'm not designed to I shouldn't have to handle certain things, right? God put people in positions that have the skill set to handle them. So for me, 100%, I would be like, nope, I was ready to die. I was ready to erase my memory, one of the two. I didn't care I didn't care about that. The memory of the love and the dedication and the will and all these things that I gave that man for 3 years, I don't want that in my brain for the rest of my life. hoping someone else will take me in and think lovely and want to marry me. I don't want to deal with that. So let me just end my life. And some people, oh, it's the coward way out. You be in that kind of gut wrenching pain. That's like everywhere I go is a memory.
So glory be to God is what you would say.
Absolutely, 100%. And that's what I make sure to and I'm starting to tell my story. And if I could go on tour, I would. If I could go and teach this and give seminars and lectures on this, I would, because these are things that most people don't know how to go through. They don't know how to go through your heart being in your chest and the blood is coming down and the heartbeat is still beating. And you're just like, that's humanly impossible to do, but I'm still here, but my heart's in my hand. But you still got to go on. A lot of people don't know how to do that. And God gave me the vision for the book cover, a whole. I just typed it because he can't. I just typed it. And so I know without a shadow of a doubt that he wrote that book, because there had been no way. And now I'm like, okay, we're ready to date. Okay, we're ready to get married and hopefully have a child. I can handle this now. I can, because I've proven I can handle all that comes with it, still be a woman, still open up businesses, traveling and training all over. I genuinely love what I do.
I love that you said that. And I think people are really going to be inspired by when things get rough. You really have to show up for yourself. I feel so bad when people are so low on the ground and they can't hold on to anything, ReShaun.
Yeah, I did the work, and I did the work to help someone show that you can. And I mean, like, my mother is the type of mom where I do breakups real hard. Like, breakups are really hard for me because I love hard. Like, you don't even have to worry that I love you. I am like 10 toes down at all the things. And so it was hard. And she was a trooper. She hated to see me in that position. But mind you, I'm still working. I'm still doing my church duties. I didn't stop my life because my heart was broken. There was just certain things that died off. My heart died. My heart died. I was cold. I can still be active, but be dead. No heart, no sincerity, no humanity, just like, vampires and Vampire Diaries. Your humanity was gone. Every time they turn, their humanity, my humanity was and a friend of mine told me this, and hopefully this next statement will help somebody. She told me, she's like, ReShaun, your heart took a beating. Cause I'm like, I'm like, okay, let's get back out there. And I'm like, slow your roll. I almost had a panic attack because I was ready to jump back out there. And I don't know why this is turning into a relationship episode.
No, I love it.
She said, ReShaun, your heart took a beating and you need to take a beat. And I'm just like, but I love love. I love romance. I want to be in a relationship. I'm that girl. She's like, you need to take a beat. And it was just like, oh, and I knew what that meant. I knew it was going to take a long time before I felt that happy spark again. Like, I'm a lover, right? I tested the theory and it backfired real bad. And I was just like, okay, my heart is dead, 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 dead. So we're just going to let my heart hibernate.
Another fascinating thing, ReShaun, is you opened up your own business. And my question to you is, I know as your friend that you did it after the breakup.
What?
How do you do that?
I always wanted to own my own program. I always knew. And I opened it during the worst times that America probably would say that is the dumbest time to open a program. But I will tell you this, when God gives it for you to do it, that means there's nothing that's going to hinder you except for yourself. He will make ways and give you things and ideas to do it. And that's exactly what happened. So when something is supposed to be, it's going to be, and it's going to be expeditiously. It ain't going to take long. All of that still healing, by the way. Still trying to navigate why I wasn't chosen. I know it. I know. Who you telling?
In that you're still making moves. I can't harp enough on it because you make it look so effortlessly.
Boy, it was hard. I get what you're saying. I was dying.
But the beauty of all this is that you still have faith to keep going and to keep moving forward. And that's what I harp on this whole podcast. My entire focus is you keep moving and you keep going when your heart's aching and breaking and you don't know what tomorrow is going to look like. You don't know what the next second is going to look like.
Very true.
Like, that's why it's so admirable to see you do this, open up your business, do your book, do these trainings. I mean, it is very admirable.
Well, I would love to take credit and I can't. God did all of that. But I'm honored and I'm very thankful. Again, some of this was my doing because I was warned, I was given instruction, but I thought I knew, I thought I could handle. So sometimes instruction is given, but we got to go through because, oh, we think we know. But the strength I was received through all of this has been something that I'm just like, oh my gosh, thank you for giving it to me, for trusting me with it. And now I'm just like, I can handle things better. I can love with not just my mouth or my brain. I can love with my heart because when you love someone, you're going to truly endure the good and the bad, as well as celebrate the wins. And I did the work. And so now there's certain things that nobody can tell me, certain things that you're just like, no, I've been through more than what you think. So that's not going to work for me. But let me tell you what I went through. Then you'll understand and respect the hustle better. So I can't take credit. I'm just thankful that I'm on this side of things
Ooh.
because things are clear. My heart is 100% healed. I can look at the person, I can have a conversation with them. I can stand up for myself. I can no longer spew hate out of revenge, make threats out of revenge. I don't need to do that anymore. God has a way of doing that, and that's exactly what he said he would do. I don't have to do that. I shouldn't have to. And so now I'm at a very peaceful place. I love my life. I love my kids. I love the things that's going on and that's happening. And I love that I got a book out of it. And the comment was made, I'm all up in your book. You talked about me. I said, no, honey, I didn't. But what I did do was I did allow those who were left with love, because just because you break up don't mean the love is gone. What am I going to do with that? What do I do with the love? What do I do with this hate? What do I do with this revenge? What do I do with it? What do I do with it? Like we were going to plan a life, have a baby, all these things that don't go away because we broke up. So now I need to figure out what to do next. That's what the book is about. That's who the book is for. What do I do? What do I do? And I wrote it in between, running my program. I wrote it on my breaks. I wrote it at home. I wrote it anywhere I could get time to put down some notes. I wrote it and still ran my program.
I love that you're humble. I love that. But I think it was a partnership between you and God, to be honest, between the two of y'all to make it happen. What would you tell other women out there who want to start their own business or who would want to do something, but in the midst of it, can't find a way because they are heartbroken, because something has happened in their life that has derailed them or in their mind has set them back? What would you tell another woman?
So circling back, the night it happened, I called everybody, texted everybody that knew. And then everyone's opinion started flooding in. And I remember hearing God tell me to cut that off, cut communication. I can't hear him if too many people are talking in my ear. So I stopped responding. I blocked people and I was like, okay, you got me out here now. So I did. And that's when the real trial began. So the one thing I will say is don't tell a bunch of people. I know why we do it as people. We want the validation. I need to make sure, I need my village to know, I need my support system. But let me tell you about support. Not everybody has your back. And at your lowest, the person who you think will be supporting you is the one that's cheering you on while your face is in the mud. And so I had to shut everybody off and down. I only had my mother on my side. I stopped talking. Even the people at church, I just stopped. Don't ask me because don't ask me. So that's the first thing is stop telling everybody. I get why we do it. Again, I'm going to reiterate that. I get why we do it. That don't necessarily mean it's right. And that most certainly doesn't mean that that is going to be helpful because it's not going to help you. You're spewing your issues to everyone and they are loving it. They're loving it. Stop talking. Get to a place of solitude. You're going to have to get with yourself. Yes, we don't like to do it. You're right. We're going to have to get with yourself. You need to be alone with yourself right now because you need to start doing the work to get back. Address it and do the work to get back. Find someone that you trust. If you're not a church going person, find that person that is your village, like they are your chief, right? And lean on them. And if you feel overwhelmed or you feel like you're going to make steps, you need to call that chief, not the low totem pole. Call the chief. Hey, I'm feeling like I might hurt myself, or I'm feeling like I can't be alone right now. Make the phone call, right? Because that is going to help them be what you need. And that's going to sometimes force people who are all in their shell or their bubble, it's going to force them to be a part of someone else's life. So that would be my two things. That would be what I would say. Stop telling everybody, because everybody that you're telling ain't on your side. They're not on your side. You want them to be, but they're not, because I have that experience. Someone who I thought was on my side, someone who I thought was a sister, turned out to be a fan. And I didn't realize when you have fans, they spread things about you. Oh my God, her concert was amazing. Oh my gosh, da, 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 da. They spread things about you.
Your heartache should not be a topic at someone's table.
Nope. If it's a topic, it's because I bring it up. Or if it's a topic, it's because I'm with someone who I feel safe enough to have that conversation with. Your heartbreak is not someone else's meal ticket into your life.
I love that you say that, because so often people, as soon as the news, especially with the breakup, they start telling the story and it just goes and goes and goes. And by that point, a lot of it's fabricated.
Absolutely.
A lot of it is he said, she said, and it becomes so big that it's out of your control at this point.
If I had to be a Mama Shaun to you right now, for those that are listening, I'm gonna say it the way Black culture said, shut your mouth. Keep your mouth closed, right? If you need to call me, I'll listen. Email me, I'll listen, right? Because you don't want someone who's going to use that against you. They'll turn around, right? You might be good today, but they're going to turn around and use that against you. Spread lies, put it on social media, God knows what, because you thought you could trust that person. Heartbreaks, you don't tell everybody. You tell the chief, the person that is really going to be like ride or die for you. If you're having a mega crisis and they got to see you butt naked or they got to see you pee on yourself, that's who you want to tell, because they will see you at your dirtiest and at your worst. That's who you want. You want the person that's going to rock with you.
So what made you tell people, and why do you think people feel the need to tell everyone and anyone?
So what made me, I remember the first time I did. I can't begin to tell you the weight that it just fell off my body like water. Me just fell off. I'm just like, almost like I have been holding my breath all this time. And every time I tell this story, every time no matter how depth I go, I have to sit with it and be like, okay, another layer pulled. You're doing great. You're amazing. You are a shining star, because that's heavy. It's heavy. And not everybody can handle heavy. So for me, it was time, but I told it when it was time to tell it with the people that needed to hear it. I don't share this with everybody because not everybody can handle it. This is for the people that need to heal and hear. I just had to share it a little bit this past weekend, and I got it choked up and emotional about it, because it's like I'm pulling off more about me and about myself. And it's not even to put a damper on the other person. It ain't got nothing to do with you. This is for those that need to heal and hear.
And set free.
Absolutely. Because they need to know they have a voice. I've been in an abusive relationship. I'm talking about the one that leaves scars that nobody knows about.
You are just giving a lot of lessons. Can I ask you another question about lessons? What's the biggest lesson you learned from heartbreak?
Listen to the ones before me that told me don't do it. If we listen to our forefathers, and I'll say forefathers as in mom and dad and grandparents, if we listen to the generation before us, they're giving us the answers to be successful. We're not listening because we want to do it different, faster, more efficient. The lesson is there. The keys are there. Well, we want to do it differently. No, dummy. Take it back. You're still going to get the same. You're still going to get to this end result. You're just doing it a different way. Ain't that the main goal? Getting it to the end. So the lesson I learned with my mother, I should have listened. When people were sniffing out stuff, I should have listened. And it wasn't like, oh, you don't want me to be happy or you're jealous. I didn't play that card because that is dumb. My mother has her own life. Why'd she got to be jealous of her 30-something-year-old daughter? For what? That's a cop out. She, as a mother, she saw something different that my eyes were blinded to. I didn't listen. But when the time I listened and I wrote a poem, a part of my healing was to write. And I wrote a poem about being in too deep. And I wrote about how I was in too deep to turn back. I was in too deep to say no. I was in too deep to walk away. My heart, I didn't do all of the precursor measures that I should have done in the beginning. I didn't do it in the beginning. I did it towards the end. And it was too late because I was in too deep.
Wow, that's a great lesson to learn.
I learned a lot. I don't say a lot about it unless I'm asked, but I learned a lot of lessons. I remember people be like, God's not listening. God's not listening. Well, he hears you. You're not listening to his answer. And I remember asking God. I asked God for years about a husband. What is a husband? What does it mean? What does that mean? What does he do? Because the ones I see are worthless. Why did we break up? I don't understand. It took a minute. I mean, minutes, but I got my answer on both and it blew my mind. So when you truly want an answer, the answers are there. You just need to stop talking and start listening because the answers are there. I guarantee you the answers are there.
Speaking of husbands, what does the future look like for ReShaun?
The future looks like another book as soon as I can sit down to write it. I got a bunch of books in my laptop that I need to get out, finish and get out, including a children's book. The future looks like marriage. I want a family. And without sounding presumptuous, well, I deserve it. I've worked hard. I've been engaged twice, and I was never blessed enough to walk down the church aisle or castle aisle. For me, the future looks like, a family. The future looks like another expansion of the center and some other little things that I'm working on and working through. Because as a single woman, I don't have a sugar daddy. I don't have a pay pig or whatever that trending thing is on TikTok right now that's paying for any of mine. So I do a lot of things because I try to maintain and support myself and take care of myself. And honestly, the last two things, and without sounding morbid, the last two things I could honestly want in this world that will be like, okay, I'm good until God comes or till whatever happens is a PhD and my husband. And I'm good. Everything that I've done from high school till now was extra. I didn't ask for that. I didn't ask for these things initially. My dreams and my goals in the beginning wasn't all of this. It wasn't. It was a husband, a baby, and my preschool. And that is all. So, God gave me more. So I'm like, okay, well, just waiting to walk down the aisle and we'll be good to go.
I have to say that I admire the humility. I admire you as a woman, as a mentor, as a friend. You don't want to say leader. I'm going to say it because I can. But I honestly want to just give you praise because I've known you for quite a bit of time and I've seen you in various stages in your life, whether it was director, trainer, business owner, in love, out of love. I've seen a lot of these areas in you. And again, the whole premise of this show is to keep resilience and to keep hope alive. It breaks my heart when I hear people giving up on life and when I hear people wanting to just throw in the towel. And even though you were a millisecond from doing that, you found a way.
Ooh, I was close.
And just talking to you today and going through it all, I admire that. And I want to thank you for being a part of my journey in my podcast and allowing me to share your story. But for my listeners out there, what is the title of your book? Where can they find it? And your podcast as well?
The title of my book is Life After Heartbreak. Now what? And you can find it on Amazon. My podcast that I'm really focusing on right now is Mic'd Up with Mama Shaun, which Paul will be a guest speaker. This podcast is different from my other one because this one, we get to talk about love, life, business, early childhood, and parenting things.
I have to ask you, you're a Disney fan, and so am I. So what Disney movie taught you the biggest lesson?
Beauty and the Beast. I mentioned that heartbreak, I'm terrible at it. I'm the ugliest, meanest person. And there are times when I'm just kind of like, oh, ReShaun, girl, I'm gonna need you to pull that all the way back. I'm just like, what man is gonna love you, girl? Get it together. A couple days ago, my mom's like, your husband's gonna have to be the strong silent, just because of how outgoing you are and just kind of how out there you are. And I was like, you know what? I've always known that. And so I've looked at my husband as being the opposite of me. He's the beauty, I'm the beast. And I always consider myself the beast. And not in the ugly way in which it's, portrayed, but just because Belle, she loved her father and she understood and accepted his crazy inventions. And she sacrificed her life for her father's in the castle. So that was the lesson. Like, when you love someone, you can love what they show you, but that does not mean that is who you are. I have a feeling that a listener needs to hear just that because I just felt that. Just because that person is portraying something to you, you need to look past that because that could be a front. And sure enough, on for Beast, it was a front because he was cursed. But when she got to know who he really was, he was gentle. He was a gentle giant. He was gentle, but he was still beastly. But he was able to show who he really was because someone was loving him when no one would love him. That was the curse. So in doing that, it taught her how to love someone despite how they look. So just because they portray themselves to be this mean, big, bad, whatever, there's a reason why they're big and bad. Somebody did something to them, put them in that position, but that's not who they are. It's a lot to learn and you can appreciate love better. And I appreciate my heart more. I guard it very, very well. Not everybody that winks and says hi and I look beautiful, put a fingernail to my heart. You don't deserve it. You haven't earned it.
Well, my friend, I want to thank you. Thank you so much.
I am honored. We talk often, and especially when Wicked came out, but it's nothing like having a candid conversation with someone that you trust. And Heartbreak also taught me about trusting people, and I trust you. You have never, ever, ever, and I don't use that lightly. You've never been ugly. You've never been rude. In fact, you guys, when we first met, I was a recruiter and he was my interviewee. Do y'all know the first 45 minutes of his interview talking about Glee, talking about all the things that were not pertain to the job. I did the quick interview when we went back to the conversation. I was like, I already know what I need to know. Another reason why, Paul, and I say this to him every now and again because I see this picture often, we did not know each other like we do now. But we had so much contact and it was just like, an old friend. The day I graduated with my master's, you guys, and I still thank him to this day. I have never known someone to do this. I didn't realize he was going to do it. So I sent him the link to the graduation so he could watch me walk or whatever. Y'all, he took a picture and screenshot me walking across the stage. Because my mom was there, but she was in the back, so she didn't get to get that. And he sent it to me and I didn't realize it until I checked my phone and I was almost in tears. He was like, it's no big deal. And I'm like, no, that is a big deal. Thank you for thinking of me to do that. So Paul, he's amazing. He's a beautiful soul that loves life and he loves people. He loves people. When he's a friend, he's a good friend. He's trustworthy. He's loyal. And, we can talk for hours and hours and hours and hours. And that's when you got someone on your side. So thank you, Boo, so much. I love you. I appreciate you. Thank you for allowing me to be a guest on your podcast.
It has been a pleasure chatting with you, my friend. I love you, and I will see you next time.